Hey Denzel, where do you get your information from? Like, how do you figure this out? How do you make sense of the overload of information that's out there in the world, all the noise that's going on? How do you decipher, not only truth from false, but just how to really define, certain things in my life and who to go to, other human beings that I can go to in those specific areas to really truly get authentic advice, not advice that suits that person that is speaking from it, right? It's like, how do you meet those kinds of people that, can have this ability to talk without being biased towards a certain thing? And not only that, how to meet people that will give advice particularly for your situation and not for their gain, whether it be in the beginning or even at the end, right? It's like, how do we meet those kinds of people, right? And I have a video on this where I just talk a little bit about who to listen to in terms of getting your fantasy league in line. So I have a video on what that means. But in this video, we're just gonna go over, finding people that we know, like, and trust, right? And just mixing the two, getting the fantasy league in order, finding people we know, like, and trust, so that we can get the right, truthful, authentic advice that people want to give genuinely, right? But it's just a matter of, damn it, like, how do I make sense of it? So the way that I do this, right, for me, is first I get my fantasy league in line. And the way that I got my fantasy league was from obviously just researching, reading their books, maybe even attending some events that were in my area that my fantasy league may or may not have been at, or going to events that support what they do or do something similar to what they do, right? Another way that I get my fantasy league in order is I gotta figure out who I am, what's my purpose in life, and where am I going, right? And what do I want to do, and those sorts of things, and what do I need to work on for myself. So there was 4 areas that I wanted to really work on and master, right? So the 4 areas were my faith, right? I wanted to learn more about God and just learn more about my my religion, my faith, how it all kind of pieces together, okay? The second part, I want to get my spirit in line. I want to get some spiritual advice, but from business oriented individuals, right? So from entrepreneurs, because I am an entrepreneur, right? So I wanted to get some insight on that. The third thing that I wanted to learn was sales, right? How do I deliver a message? How do I relay something? How can I, create income from myself while simultaneously also giving and giving and giving and just receiving in so much value, whether it be monetary or advice or partnership or collaboration, whatever that may be. And the fourth part was empathy, love, compassion in business, in entrepreneurship, right? So, when we're looking at getting our fantasy league in order so that we can figure out who to know, like, and trust to get authentic advice, right? It would be wise to find people that are highly successful, not only financially, but in their relationships, at home, with friendships, how they communicate with people, such on and such on, right? So for me, I really love Denzel Washington, not only as an actor, but as a man that has faith in what he believes in. And everywhere he goes, whenever he's talking, somehow, some way, he manages to throw in his faith, right? And he always talks about putting God first, right? So I'm like, wow, this is a man that's made millions of dollars in acting and has spoken to millions of people. And he's saying to put God first. Whoa, okay, that's really interesting. Boom, he's on my fantasy league, right? I like him. I trust that what he says is authentic advice. And I don't know him personally, but I've followed him for such a long time that I feel like I know him, right? So it meets the criteria of know, like, and trust, right? Tony Robbins, okay? He's got the spiritual talent of entrepreneurship, giving, just life mastery, self-discovery. Just he's a force of nature, really. It's incredible, right? And with Grant Cardone, if you don't know him, he's huge on just sales and increasing your income. Period. He's the guy to go to. And then Gary Vaynerchuk is all about empathy, love, compassion, respect, right? It may not come off that way when he's talking, but is something that he wants to be remembered as, is making that, empathy, love, compassion a cool thing in business, in entrepreneurship. Where he's got this jab, 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 right hook method, right? Where it's like give, 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 and then you receive, and then you ask for the sale, or you ask for the partnership, you ask for the deal, right? So it's just a matter of when now that just explaining all that to you, when you're looking at getting your fantasy league in order, you've got to figure out, where am I lacking? What do I lack in, right? And be really specific, because here's where you can get mixed up, right? Where Grant Cardone, right, is a very successful individual financially, right? In the household, in business, friendships, right? But would I go to him for advice on faith? No, why would I do that, right? This person does not talk about that at all. Even though he is super successful and very famous and very wealthy and very knowledgeable, I still would not go to that individual for that particular advice, right? Even if they talk about it, right? Because people talk about many different things, right? People have opinions, people have thoughts, and different, views of the world, right? They have their own world view, their own philosophy, right? So if I'm a Christian and I'm trying to learn about God, shoot, I'm not going to go to these guys, right, about God. No, I'm going to go to a pastor or someone at a church, or I'm going to look up a YouTube channel that teaches biblical scripture. Makes sense? And then I'm going to spend some time reading their material, rightly dividing all the material until I have this feeling, this inner gut, like, whoa, this is where I need to be. Okay? Now, if I want to learn how to make money, right, a lot, if I want to learn how to increase my sales, increase productivity in my business, am I going to go to the pastor for that? Am I going to go to, mom and dad for that? Am I going to go to, the neighbor next door? Absolutely not, right? I'm going to go to a person like Grant Cardone. Very simple. No matter what his view is of the world, I know that this person is a practitioner, is a master in sales, in increasing income. That's it, right? So that's how I get my advice. That's how I really narrow it down, where it's like, all right, here's a million people, right, on Google, on YouTube, on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, right, on the news. A million influencers, let's just say. There's a million. All talking about the same exact thing. Who do you listen to? Right? Who do you, whoa, how do you figure that one out? Okay? Right off the bat, the way I'm going to shave half that number is I'm going to figure out who makes the most amount of money. That's one. Right? Who's up there, man? Because this is a fantasy. The key word is fantasy. I don't want to be within reach of that person, right? So these people, right? Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Gary Vaynerchuk, Denzel Washington, right? It's going to take some time for me to even afford to be in the same room as them. And I'm not talking about going to some little event that they go to where there's a mass of people. No. That's not how I want to network with these guys, where everyone's trying to, no. I want to go where these guys, charge hundreds and thousands, maybe even over $1 million just to hang out with them, in a very intimate setting, right? Because that's where you get real wisdom and knowledge. See, when you go to them big events, these guys are trying to serve lots of people at once. There's nothing wrong with that. I just have a different, viewpoint where it's like, I can get that from home, man. I'll just watch you on YouTube. I'll be fine, right? Or I'm going to keep, networking in my area. I don't need to fly to another country or another state. I'll do that when I've not only have built the wealth, but now I'm going to see them to become their friend, not their business partner, right? Not right off the bat. No, I want to become their friend, a friend, right? Not a friend through money, right? Where it's like I paid to hang out with them and learn from them, and I bought a program in their business, and now I'm cool, and I took a little photo, hey, how you doing, and I posted on my Instagram feed, and no, that's not real to me. What's real is like going to dinner with Denzel's wife, and I bring my partner, my girlfriend, at a dinner, and we just talk. That's it. We're not talking about how to make money. We're not talking about how to invest. We're not talking about any of that. We're talking morals, respect, family, adventure, travel, a journey, God, all that. Hanging out with a guy like Grant Cardone, I don't want to talk about money with that guy. He's got so many phone calls in a day, so many people talking to him about money. I think the last thing he wants is another person talking to him about money, right? Because that's all he does all day long is help people make money. At some point, that stuff gets, very repetitive. So it's like, for me, when I go and meet a person of that stature, of that, high level, I don't want to talk about anything in their business. I simply want to become their friend. And then is where I'm going to get some real, authentic, trustworthy advice, right? in the meantime, in the now, today, at the level that you're at, wherever you're at, okay, it's wise to do research, to look up people that you find attractive, not physically, but it could be physically, but also just mentally, how they talk, how they present themselves. Do they curse a lot? Do they watch their mouth? Are they, less profanity? Whatever it is that suits you is how you're gonna build this fantasy league. Now, once you've got that in line, now this helps you when you're networking in your local area, right? When you're making business relationships in your local area, when you're making partnerships, collaborations, at work, coworkers, even at home, is when you're really going to be able to build this know, like, and trust mentality, right? Because if you're hanging out with John, right, and he's talking how Grant talks, and Gary and Tony and Denzel, and I'm hanging out with John, I'm probably going to connect really well with John, right? So same goes for you. Let's say your fantasy league is like, two famous actresses, a philanthropist in, like in the cancer area, and someone that ran a marathon or something like that. Whatever it is, right? And you're hanging out with Joe, right? And he's talking about philanthropy, running a 5K marathon, and how, if he does this, he'll raise awareness to breast cancer, and, it'll fulfill him, and he wants to travel the world and educate people on cancer and how to eliminate it and how to beat it, and how running and exercising correlates. It's like, if that's what you're about and that's what Joe's talking about, you ought to spend some time with Joe, even though he's not at this level yet, but he's talking your fantasy language, right? We want to connect with people that speak our fantasy language, right? So that it helps us get to the next level, keep growing. Meanwhile, you're consuming content from your fantasy league, whether that be through YouTube, Facebook, podcasts, Instagram, different quotes, books, right? Seminars, conferences, whatever that may be. That's how you continue to keep the vision narrow and tight, and you don't let other people interrupt with their philosophy on life. You've already got yours in line. Don't let anyone confuse you, right? Because the easiest way to confuse a man, right, is to present him with two philosophies, right? It's the easiest way. This is how people completely lose track of their whole life. Because if I'm talking all about, spiritual and faith and mindset, right? And you like it, okay? And then someone else comes along and says, hey man, there's no such thing as a spirit. Your mind is fake. It's all in your head. We're just a combustion of chemicals and organs and things like that. Well, there's two way different perspectives, right? That can easily confuse a human being right off the bat, right? Because now you're like, well, who do I believe? Especially if these two philosophies are coming from highly successful individuals, right? So that is the differential, the confusion can occur there. So that's why it's so important. You get your fantasy league in line. You make a decision. I want this. I want to improve in this area. This is who I'm going to search for because this is what I'm about. When I network, I'm only going to, I'm going to make the best connections with people that I know, like, and trust that talk my fantasy language. And that is how I get advice, breaking it real down. I know I was all over the place, but you know how I am. I like this kind of stuff a lot. This is beyond personal finances, but in a way, it relates to your personal finances, getting your financial situation in line, in order, getting the household, as a unit, as a team, to function properly, right? And move forward in life. So I hope you enjoyed that. You enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Denzel. Leave a comment below and subscribe. Thank you.